everyone. We are here with Oppu from Octoploid. Is that right?
That's right. That's how people call me. Oppu, not Octoploid. But anyhow, that's right.
Okay. Um, it's a tremendous project. What do you have? 6 different vocalists on the upcoming release?
Yeah, there are plenty of musicians involved. There's kind of a core band, which is myself and Mikko Pietinen, the drummer, and Peter Salonen, who's playing all the guitars, and also there is Kim Rantala on the live band. He's been playing on, say, on 4 tracks on the album, and Kasper Mortes on both um, old keyboard players from Amorphis, and also nearly every singer who I've been involved with throughout my career. Only one is missing, but anyhow, that was the basic idea throughout the project. And there's also a couple guitar players, Ile Laaksomaa from Manhai and Samuel Leminen from Rattlesnake Shakers playing some solos on the album. So yeah, that's right.
Well, it's from my experience or from what I've listened to, it starts out like the album starts out really strong. I like how it builds and then it just keeps going and it like takes you on this journey, and the journey is 70s prog to like newer death metal, which is it's a nice change from what we typically hear, right? Some people are right in their lane and they don't really go out and bring other elements into it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tried to do. I didn't want to have all those most commercial songs in the beginning. Not to say that there are that much of commercial material on the album, but anyway, that was one idea. And also, I wanted to have some kind of a musical narrative throughout the album. So I really carefully thought, like, how should those songs be in order, and to give it dynamics and yeah, to like tell people a kind of story with a like in sonic way. And yeah, it's not always easy to come up with song orders and stuff like that, but still I think I succeeded pretty well.
Agreed.
Yeah, and so like a kind of breathing pause within with a title track, Beyond the Eons, which is kind of acoustic stuff in a manner of Black Sabbath and old Xusma or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, it's what to me it's like fresh, it's new, it is really interesting. It draws you in, the use of keys through the songs and the different vocalists. It's a nice change of pace, right? What was the idea going into saying, hey, I'm gonna do Octoploid?
Well, this is not a new idea. It's kind of back in a couple of decades already. I've been thinking about it, and weren't exactly sure how it's going to be. I thought that I'd do some kind of just progressive rock album or acoustic album or whatever, and go totally outside of the box. But still, when I found out that I had like 10 songs in my drawer, I thought, and they were like this kind of songs anyway. So I thought, like, okay, why should I try to stretch to somewhere I am not that comfortable after all? So I wanted it to be an album which flows out just naturally from me. And with these songs, I just started to build the arrangements little by little, and do some keyboards here and there, and some harmonies, for example. It took time to come up with those, and And then on the other hand, I'm not a lyricist myself, and I don't have much of a experience with vocal arrangements, for example. And this was totally new thing for me, and it was really interesting to play with words and to make them flow on the song, and to make them taste good in the vocalist's mouth, and so forth, and look good on the paper. And yeah, that was the basic idea behind it. And as I said, it's not a new idea. I've been thinking about it for a couple of decades already. And after COVID ended, and my 50th anniversary was creeping nearer, I thought like, okay, now that I have time and resources and possibility, and that like milestone is coming up, I need to do it now, or then I won't do it at all. So I just decided to put the tracks together and ask Mikko, the drum player, first to join me and see how it goes, and if it is going nowhere, And we just started to put down the basic tracks little by little in his studio, and we didn't even know that who is going to be on the album. There was just two of us at that. And then I found Peter, the guitar player, and there it started to roll little by little. And once the guitars were done, it was easy to come up with the singers and the keyboard players and so forth. So that's the story in the nutshell. And yeah, and then we just mixed it with Petri Majuri in East Studio near Helsinki, and I think he did pretty good job with it. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy with it.
I think it sounds really good. And I like that you said you wanted the words to taste good in the vocalist's mouth. Like it's a great descriptive for coming up with lyrics for for a song. What who were some of the bands that you drew influence from for this project?
Well, naturally, my musical DNA is somewhere in the 90s when we started to compose music with Amorphis. So naturally, Amorphis sounds in beyond the years as well. But apart from that band, I'd say that from death metal, for example, I've always digged Autopsy because it's kind of doomy death metal band and groovy as well. And that's something I wanted to have on the album as well, like a loose, groovy sound with the drums, especially. And of course, Morbid Angel and Bolt Rover and Entombed, maybe. And well, outside of death metal, I'd say that the progressive stuff could be just the basic bands like King Crimson and Pink Floyd and Emerson Lake Palmer and yeah, Mahavishnu Orchestra maybe, and some jazz musicians as well. And well, and when it comes to melodies, I kind of think that that comes from the 80s when I was a kid, and my mother I used to listen to one great Finnish tango vocalist, Olavi Virta. He's something whose songs I used to sing when I was a kid, and I found lots of similarities in my melodies with those. Those are basically like old Italian Schlager songs which were translated to Finnish, and I'd like to think that some of those melodies are coming from that era already, and yeah. But still, it's a kind of a retrospective album when it comes to influences. I'm not like listening to modern music that much, and if I do, it tends to be like retro bands anyway. So my musical influences kind of stops in during the 90s somewhere, somewhere in the middle of the 90s. when the last good Monster Magnet albums were done, for example, and of course Kingston Wall from Finland. That's a huge influence for me. So that's it for name dropping. I could go on with this like
Yeah. Yeah, for days, right? Like there's so many good bands out there, especially when we look back on the decades. Like we're pretty comparable in age. So I grew up, around the same time, born mid 70s, really close to 50. I'm like, oh, never thought I'd live this long, you know what I mean?
I don't know any new bands at all. If there's a concert list somewhere, I don't know any of those. So, but who cares?
It's like our parents felt, when we were growing
Yeah.
up, they're like, I don't know any of those. Like, yeah, I know. It's cool. What so with this album, what are the hopes with it? Do you have plans to, go out and tour and do all the good stuff?
Well, if there's a demand for tour, I'm open to it, of course. It would be nice because we are having a pause next year with Amorphis. There's an opportunity for me to make some gigs, and the guys are keen to do it as well. So why not? I would be totally open for it. And actually, we will play one show in Helsinki in the 2nd of October, and we just have to see where it goes from there. It's going to be really interesting, in my opinion, because there's only one guitar and organ, and it's going to be a really organic show. So let's see. It's I'm a little bit nervous about it, but still, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with it. But let's say it's like if the album sells decently or even good, I would be happy if I would have opportunity to come up with another album at some point.
Yeah. I'm interested in hearing what else you could come up with because I'm really digging, Beyond the Aeons. I feel like it's really well crafted. It's well produced. All of the musicians are tremendous, so and again, it's like it's a fresh take on the age-old music, right? We've listened to King Crimson for 40 years and hearing even the death metal from the 90s, right? We're 30 years into that stuff. So it's to be able to
Yeah,
blend it and do it well is I think it's really hard to be able to do that.
well, yes and no. I think that just comes out naturally out from me, and that's probably the reason why I couldn't do this before with my previous bands, because sometimes when you mix those elements, it kind of sounds a bit weird with the demos, for example. So it's kind of hard to sell that material to anyone else. So therefore, I just had to do it on my own, and yeah, this is the result. So that's how it went. Yeah.
Well, at least like I mean, you remember back in the 90s, it was really hard to write and record everything yourself. You've you really needed a group of people to come together because recording was expensive, and now it's still expensive, but you have I think a greater opportunity to record the demos at home and get a higher quality sound to pitch that.
Yeah, that's true, and that's probably the reason why people are putting solo albums out, because they literally can do an album at their homes. So I can reveal that some of the vocals were recorded in my bedroom with, for example, Mikko Kotamäki from Swallow the Sun came there and did his crawlings, and the dog was barking on the other room, and you can actually hear it. It leaked to the tape as well. So, uh, and yeah, it's a kind of and since it was a long process, it took around 1 year or even 1.5, and everything was done in bits, and even some demo keyboards was left there, and so forth. So yeah, it's easier nowadays. Back in the days when we went to the studio with Thomas Skogsberg, for example, it was kind of a we stayed there for 1 week or 2 weeks, and he was doing what he was doing, and we didn't even realize what's happening, and we were just playing. That was our thing to do. But nowadays, it's as I said, there's an opportunity and possibility to do this. So and it's it's a kind of new area for me to learn as well, to come up with album technical wise, because again, I'm not like any kind of a sound engineer or like a audio cheek. I just have a good microphone and I record things, and that's it. And I try out some things, but still, that's the reason why the album actually exists. That it's possible to do it on your own.
Yeah. So did it end up sounding like you had originally thought it would sound, or was there, some areas where it like transformed into something a little bit bigger or maybe not as good?
Well, it nearly sounds something that I was thinking, but it was again, it was well, metal albums are like sounding a little bit I don't know, a little bit polished nowadays, and the production is more like doing movie scores or something. It's so brilliant sounding and bright and so forth. And I kind of didn't. I just wanted to stay out of that in this project. So when we first started to mix it with Petri, he tried to take it to that direction first, because he obviously was thinking that okay, Oppo wants to have this metal sound, and we had to just start it from the scratch from there, and he wanted to try to put up a sound how Black Sabbath would sound uh, nowadays as a death metal band or something. So yeah, I told him like, okay, that's the way to go, and he came up like really muddy sounding mix, and I already kind of liked it, but he was like, okay, he listened to it another day, and he was like, okay, this is maybe too stuck or muddy or whatever. But then he figured out how it should sound, and that's it. There it was, and it was like easy process after that.
Yeah. Well, it's, again, I feel like it's so well put together. I think a lot of people are going to really be drawn to it because it's unique in that aspect that, you know, I think in our, growing up, we always heard stories of if you listen to this song, you can hear this in there, so to know there's a there's a part in there where you can kind of you left the dog barking coming through, it's going to
Yeah,
draw people to go, oh shit, I really need to listen and find out what part that's in, you know?
yeah. Well, I kind of like albums myself where they are catchy from the beginning, and but still you get more out of it if you listen to several times, and you can hear uh, some stuff, say during the seventh listen or something.
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's important to find some little details later on, not on the first listen, and uh,
Keeps it
yeah,
interesting, right?
keeps it interesting. Yeah, and of course. This project required lots of tracks, for example. There's lots of material on the album, but still it doesn't sound that it's stuck with like stuff with stuff. So I think Petri did really great job with it in that sense. He was like able to put something in the background, some like less important things, and to come up with the more important stuff. And yeah, it's a craft of art, that as well. So yeah, I think I did the right pick with him, because as well he's not kind of a metal engineer. He's more into blues stuff. He's a blues guitar player himself. So that's another reason why I chose him, because I wanted to have a little bit different kind of perspective for the mix as well.
Yeah, it's always nice to bring in those other elements because someone from the blues world or the jazz world or something, they're going to bring something just a little bit different, which is going to put a unique twist on it. And this project as a whole, I think, is really unique, and it's um I'm really drawn to the artwork, like constantly. Like,
Yeah, I'm happy that I got Orion Landau from Portland, Oregon, to do it. And I heard that okay, he has quit doing cover art, and I was a little bit bummed about it. But then the same guy who connected us told like, okay, maybe he's doing this anyway. So and I just sent him some ideas, visual ideas. Uh, I wrote down something, and I sent some images which I had done with artificial intelligence, and he got those ideas and enhanced them, made them a little bit better, and when he sent the first version of it and to my mail, that's basically the album cover which is there now. So it was immediately there, and he knew exactly what I was looking for. And the other thing is that I didn't even send him any music before that. I just wanted him to have like open mind with it and not to connect it with like metal music that much. Naturally, he probably knew that it was metal, but I don't know if he knew that there was crawling vocals, for example. And he was kind of surprised when he heard it afterwards. But still, I kind of think it suits the music as well, because the music is not kind of aggressive death metal music in that sense. So
right.
there's lots of like dreaminess and progressive stuff. So it suits.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it fits really well, but I keep, my eyes are so constantly drawn to it. I'm like, I like how it's a little watercolorish and not quite watercolor, but it's in that vein. And then, you've got the planets and the stars. It's just, it's,
And
it's,
I kind of like the idea not to underline the octopus idea
yeah,
too much. It's kind of just growing out from the sea. So it's a great idea from him.
yeah, yeah. It's all encompassing, right? That's, um, it's just like the project, it's like all encompassing, everything you kind of listen to, all thrown into this. And
Yeah.
it has come out really, really good. So when you obviously the project has been a couple of decades in the making. When did you start writing for it, and how long did it take you to like write it and go, okay, I've got 10 songs, let's do
Well,
this.
yeah. Well, I think I have um, all the time. I have something like 10 to 15 songs under the belt. For whatever reason, I can offer them to whatever project available. So, uh, but still, it was kind of I just had to make the decision like which songs I would choose for this album, and they were just like raw sketches or whatever. But still, it was kind of clear that these songs could flow together pretty well, and to have like a different enough songs yet similar to each other to put together, and to have some dynamics and uh, nuances on the album. That was important as well. Uh, but still, they were really raw. But then when I decided those songs, then there was time to glue them together by doing some like to make them similar in some manner, like to add some like specific keyboard things in the all of the songs and so forth. And yeah, well, that was basically the idea when starting it, the whole project. But still, it just came out really naturally for me. And the album, after all, it kind of wrote itself. Um, uh, so it was really organic and easy process in that
It's nice when
sense.
that happens. You like come out with an idea and it just kind of writes itself. You're like, all right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's necessary to pay attention to intros and outros or whatever uh, to make it flow better.
Yeah.
So I rather do it that way than just having song after song and uh,
Well,
just to
it's
kind of
I think a lot of people, right, like this album as a whole is a fantastic like piece of art, whereas, a lot of newer music, and maybe not necessarily in the death metal realm, but just music in general, that they look at each song as like this is the art that we want to do. It's not all encompassing like the album, and that's one thing I can say about Beyond the Eons is like it's a gorgeous piece of art, from start to finish.
oh well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's not about the single song for sure. It's the whole. I think it's kind of a when bands are doing like 80 minutes lasting albums nowadays, it's kind of hard to have the red line there, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of easy to just put the best songs to the beginning of the album and then just the rest is going there as well. So
Kind of as filler.
yeah, I don't know. Well, but probably bands think that they are good songs as well, but no matter how good they are, I think 80 minutes is just too long.
Yeah.
I would say that an hour might be too long, but still, uh, I would say that 45 minutes is like a most practical length of an album in order to keep it interesting. And well, that's probably one of those things because I think it's clocking somewhere in 40 minutes. So there's no possibility of getting bored.
Right.
In that.
Well, and looking at I'm a vinyl collector, so like you can get one 12-inch at right about 45 minutes and it still sounds really good. And you start pushing more onto that and it really hinders the quality of it. And that's, you know, you wanna
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, it's kind of yeah. This is principle we thought like the vinyl when we were thinking of the sites. I mean the song order generally, and I think Beyond the Eons, the title track, the instrumental is the last song of the A side. So that was meant to be on the B side still, but still I think it's even better this way. Kind of ends the A side like that, and then we go to another story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a vinyl I will be picking up. Just I'm excited. It again, it's great. It's a really fresh take on all the music we've listened to for so many years. So for you, as a musician for 30 plus years at this point, um, what are was there a point where you were like touring with Amorphis or whatever, where you're like, oh man, I never thought I would get here. This is like the pinnacle
With Amorphis.
with anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's especially 7 years ago when I rejoined Amorphis, that was really, really like a turning point for me because for several times I already thought like, okay, maybe I'm done with music and I can already sell my gear or whatever. But still, I was kind of dreaming of that. But then it all suddenly changed because it just like felt like coming back to home because well, it's like just fantastic to be with those guys. I kind of missed them throughout the years, and I think there was kind of error in the world when I wasn't in the band, and now it was fixed. So that was probably the point where I realized that okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And another time when it was felt like really weird when we did our first tour in Europe, and we were playing in Frankfurt with Tales from the Thousand Lakes, and that was kind of it was actually headlining tour, and we didn't expect anything about it, but in Frankfurt there was a full house, and it was we couldn't just realize that what's going on. Like, are they here for us? You know, we didn't understand that, and they were asking for autographs and stuff like that, and came to talk, and we were like totally like stoked about it, like what's going on. So those two things were kind of where I realized that I want to just make music, and yeah,
That's
those
awesome.
were the pinnacle.
Well, yeah, you go out on tour and you're like, yeah, we're just gonna probably play to a few people and keep going, and then all these people are like autographs, and of course, back in the '90s there were no like cell phones, so it wasn't like, can I get a selfie? Um, so that had to feel really, really good, especially for
Yes,
a relatively new band at that time.
yes, definitely.
What about, it seems like with Octoploid you have musicians ready to go play live if needed, and musicians, kind of studio musicians, right?
Well, I have lots of friends as musicians, and there is kind of core band currently, which we are going to use live. But still, I want to keep a kind of veto for having step-in musicians, or if someone feels like they don't have to have the time for Octoploid, we can always change the musician, and because it's a kind of it's a solo band anyway, so uh, that's how it goes in this case. But still, I would be happy to have like a basic band together as long as possible. If it turns out that it's going to be good on the 2nd of August.
Well, I think it's already good.
Hope so.
Yeah, yeah, you
Well,
know.
I'm having another interview now,
Oh,
so
okay.
is it all right for you?
Yeah, yeah, we're totally good.
Yeah, I need to talk to Australia.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking time to come hang out and chat with me.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. Where are you from, actually?
I live in Kentucky in the US.
Okay, so probably we won't come there in the fall with Amorphis.
You said you won't?
We're, I don't know. We are touring in the States, but I don't know if we are going to Kentucky.
Well, I travel for shows like in the region, so do like Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Tennessee. And generally when bands come over, they hit one of those many
All right.
states. So I'll try and make one of those shows.
Well, if you'll make it, come to say hi. All right.
I absolutely will.
Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Same to you. Bye.
See ya.